Hubbard and welcome to Tournament 3. We're going to get a little bit into the theme and say, don't want to spoil too much. We just came off Automotive April's Top 25. We're going to get the exclusive review of the theme from G himself. We do have the Meteorological May preview coming up as well. That's already been announced as the D2 theme. We'll talk a little bit about that. Got some league updates and some massive announcements too that are both enhancing the league and also some behind-the-scenes stuff with the tech side we're looking forward to talking about tonight. But G, it's great to be back. We'll have the exclusive reveal of your theme a little bit. What are you looking forward to tonight, man? We already got the bracket as well for that T3.
I mean, it's not really an exclusive reveal. I mean, like, we had the reveal a few days ago. I mean, this is going out after that. So, I mean, technically, if you've kind of been following the league, you kind of already know what it is. But I think we work together on this theme to make it the best it can be. And I think we have another good one going here. But got a lot of fun things to talk about. This one is we preview T3 and pretty much kind of enter the mid-season stretch here for the league.
That's right, a little bit past halfway now. Once we get into round one for D2 and for D1, we're getting there. Of course, there's 30 rounds.
D2 is technically already halfway through the regular season, so.
Yep. Round one will begin the second half, and then for us, technically, if you break it down for 30 round championship, once we get past the Sweet 16 this tournament, then we're halfway, round 15. But we got a long way to go still. But we have to go with our first topic, AP Top 25. Well, I like to call it the MRE Uno Top 25. We'll want to rip it off there. Gee, interesting. We're going to go 25-1. I'll start it off. We're going to go 5 names at a time and go from there. We'll start it up at 25, coming in pretty hot here. Good old... Actually, no, let's start with the people that received votes. Let's not forget about those guys. 3 people received votes. We had Sept, on Jack, Nam. Your reaction to any of those guys receiving? But I think 2 of them for sure deserved it. Interesting on Nam for sure.
Well, I mean, Nam got a singular vote, and that was a 25th place vote, so that kind of reflected on that one. For Anjak, he actually Anjak only appeared once also, but he got a 23rd place vote, so that one ended up being a little different. Seth was in a few lists, but Background ultimately had a little bit more consistency and a few peaks and valleys, so he got the edge over Seth, which, by the way, Background's number 25, but I agree with Seth being there. Anjak's a little bit but I could see it. Nam was an interesting choice to say the least, especially after getting swept 5-0. So I'm curious to see how the recovery will go on that, but there's not the last time we had a lot of people receiving votes. This time only 3, so a bit more of a clear cut top 25 here this time around.
Absolutely. Now we'll go into 25 to 20. I'm going to read them off. 25, coming at 25, we got background character, 24, Leah, 23, Tapir, Ziemba at 22, Clay at 21. That's the 25-21. Clay at 41 with the point calculator, 38, 32, 26, 12, respectively. Out of those 5 names, G, who's surprising down here? Maybe was at the top last year, and who's really just coming in off the top rope here? Who do you think could make a run T3 out of those 5? What do you think?
I'm surprised to this point of the season Tapir's down here. I'm not surprised in terms of like how the season's gone so far, but I was hoping Tapir would be a little higher. But besides that, it's a decent mix of people I was expecting, or maybe just having good starts to the season. I think Ziemba's having a really good start to the season. Leah's having a really good start to the season as well. Background's about where I was expecting him to be at the start of the season, but I think he could slowly climb up the ranks as we go on. But he's also one of 2 rookies that are in this top 25 spoiler. The other one's kind of obvious, but we'll see where he ends up. But Background kind of has been the more consistent player for the rookie class, but I think he's looking to take another leap ahead this tournament as he hopes to climb further up the board.
I agree with you on Tapir. Tapir down here a little bit shocking. We did talk about the correction. It's going to be one of those corrections. Out of these 5, I have to say, who's going to make a run? I'm going to go with the EXP here, G. I think Clay has his shot. He knows what he can do, especially with a 3-2 start to the year compared to last year. He was losing to Lane Sanders. It's been his kryptonite over the last 2 years, just Lane. If you think about that, so if those results flip, might be a different Clay altogether. I think Clay's one to watch, and I definitely agree on you. I think background character could be someone to scare. Could be scary coming into T3. Not much to say though. Tapir definitely the shot down here. Yeah. Now this group coming up here, 20 through 17. This is remember 16 people make Super League. These are the first 4 out, I guess you would say, in the old terms of CBB, the old college b-ball. The first four out we have is Larry Hill at 17, coming at 59 points. Carson 45 at 45, or 18th, coming at 45 points. Excuse me. Sting at 43 points at 19th, and Ghost 42 at 20th. G, same question. Who's a surprise, and who do you think can make a run of this four to get into the top 16?
I don't think there's anyone as surprised in terms of how they're like here in the lower aspect, but I think Lara having a big run last tournament's a little surprising to be in this spot, but we'll see what they can do. Everyone else, the other three in this list, I think is reasonable. You could see them kind of be in that spot. Lara hasn't really had that big run before, so that kind of bolstered them up the rankings, but they're in a pretty good spot right now. So if they could capitalize off that, they might be someone to watch out for in this bubble conversation. But again, this is more of just a combined list. It's not necessarily something with criteria per se. Some of this ultimately comes down to just straight up the eye test, which is a bit of a variable aspect, but that's kind of what makes these lists interesting. But yeah, I don't have any massive surprises on this one besides Lara being up here, but yeah, this is kind of a group that I think a lot of people were. They could have been names thrown out that would have been in this area coming into the season at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Larry Huo, 100% is the one to watch in terms of being up here. 17th, just the first person out. Out of those four to make a run, I'm going to go with a little bit of a stunner. I think Ghost could make the run. Not really. The reason why I'm not going to say stunner, he made Super League, but remember, Ghost did make this run last year where he was 13-0 in T3. Then he just got absolutely demolished in the Elite Eight against Yoshi. I think he might have a little bit of vengeance on his mind. So I'm going to say Ghost for sure is the one to watch. Now the first people in. I guess the first four in, and then we'll get the top 12. The first four in is Toasty, Caesar, Cap, Chama, Toaster 87, Caesar 84, Cap 83. But the thing here, G, from Cap to Chama, 83 to 62 points. That's a big 21-point spread. Your thoughts on, obviously it's a list, it doesn't really matter, but your thoughts on, let's say, 12th through 15th having a little bit of leverage on Chama compared to the point spread. The point spread here from 12th through 16th is what, plus 26? It's definitely a margin for sure.
I mean, I think it gives them a little bit of leverage, but it's not that much, considering the fact that when you go to captain, that's only two spots from outside the field, so they're not safe whatsoever in any capacity. Chomic, I think, has had a bit of a weird start to the season, but he kind of just barely sneaks in there. Captain, I mean, I think is easily the biggest surprise down here. I mean, this has been a bit of a up and down start for Captain. Really has not really found that consistent rhythm that he had. I mean, he did get the win in tournament 2 last season, so that played part of it. But he's kind of lost some of that ability to just kind of run in and demolish the opponent right away. So we'll have to see how that goes. Caesar's in a spot where he's kind of getting bit by consistency. Which is fine for being in this area right now, but like if we get a lot of people who jump in this lower half who have a bunch of good runs, that's really going to put him in a bit of a tough spot, especially where he historically has this issue where he never get that big win. So we'll have to see how that plays out for him. And then Toshi's kind of been in a bit of a no man's land right now. He's having a better start to the season than he did last season because he was 0-2 to this point, but. Yeah, this is the tournament he had his breakout run in, so he's hoping to rekindle a little success there and possibly move up the ranks. But yeah, I think Captain's a bit shocking to be down here, but besides that, I don't think there's anyone that's like an absolute stunner.
Same thoughts, really. There's not Caesar being up here. You got to look. You look at his resume. Obviously, it's not resume, but you start looking at it. You really start digging deep. There's some cracks. I think all four of these guys have cracks, really, in their resume. I'm more interested to see where they land T3 when we actually go to the criteria. Now, remember, we still may make a list. We can still make a list as a fact check, but that's just going to be an eye test list versus where you actually rank the criteria. It will be interesting. I think all these four, of course, Toaster and Chomik and Captain ran it back, trying to run it back. Right now, they would run it back in the Super League if we went off this list. Caesar, it's been since 2023. He's been looking for that big fish win. Right now, it's been the consistency. And let's face it, G, if he goes 5 Sweet 16s, that's a 10-win season. That's 99.9 out of time. You're surely locked in. But what's that resume going to be? So he's definitely still fishing for a big win, and we'll see what he can do. Now we go into the 12 through 7 range, and we'll say the top 6 for last, the old fast 6. We'll start it off with Myth at 132 points. Then there's Andy at 122, Monkey at 119, Lane at 108, Logan at 95, and Vapor out of that in 88. Obviously, we don't need to worry about the spread. That's a pretty big spread. It's 44-point spread. Gee, a lot of surprising names here. Give me the rundown, because we have some real shockers in this one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Myth, I think people could have seen coming, especially with how he was able to get things rolling in the second half of the season. But I mean, Andy is a shocker, Logan's a shocker, and I think Vapor being this high up early on in the season, I think is a bit of a shocker, because he's usually in the mid pack. I am a little surprised that there's a bit of a gap between Andy and Logan, because in my opinion, they've had very identical starts to the season, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Because Andy has 122 points, where Logan only has 95, so that's it's like a 27 point gap. So I think it's a bit that's a bit of a head scratcher to me, why there's such a big gap there between the two. They've had pretty much identical starts this season, but yeah, it's this is probably the most interesting group so far. But out of this group, I mean, Andy and Logan are running through with consistency. Vapor's been decently consistent as well with some peaks. Monkey had a really good run to the Final Four this past tournament. Lane's kind of a little bit all over the place, but he's hanging in there. I think out of this group here, the person who could go on a run the most likely probably would be Myth. And I mean, he did make the Final Four in the last tournament. I think he could do it again with the way he could run Plan A. Some people are just not ready for that. And ultimately, when you make the game come down to something like that, sometimes it's just people get a bit frazzled. And sometimes you kind of get screwed in the hand. Sometimes you make a stupid play. That's really what that extract comes down to. But I would say Myth's the most likely to have this group to make a run. But I think I'd give a shout to Monkey also, since he's had a pretty good start to the season also, which I think this is probably the best start of a season in his career so far.
Well, I gotta say, Monkey, that's the number one surprise for me, along with, I say, Andy and Logan. Monkey, we know he can really do well in March and April, but he didn't have a good March. And you think right there, you get down yourself, maybe you start getting into your own head, the mentality becomes a little more fragile. He decided to go from the fragile little dust there and went to a rock-solid stone, and I think he deserves that spot up there. Most potential, I'm going Vapor here. I think he has nothing to lose yet. Let's face it. This is it. This is it. As of now, this is his final year, and
would like to make the postseason for the first time in his final year also. So that would be something he's fighting right. Also.
That's what I'm thinking. He has nothing to lose. What's a second place to him at the end of the year? Nothing, right? I think that house money mentality the whole season, knowing it is your final season. Something to watch. I am a little interested to see what Lane will do as well. We always talk about Lane. Remember, last year at this time, he was nowhere. 0-2, and then Tournament 3. Let's not forget, he reverse swept Tapir in what was one of the craziest games of the year in terms of just shock factor. He had one already this year when he won the game against Clay with no +4s. He could be someone that you could watch out for, but I'm going to have to go. I'm holding it on Vapor, man. He's got nothing to lose, and he's this high up so far. Could be something to watch moving forward. Now the last 6, more of the usual suspects and some interesting names. We'll start it off with Gone at 144 in the top 6. Ashley starts the top 5 at 146. Yepez at 155 in 4th. Nick at 163 with 3 first place votes in 3rd. And then you and me, G, rounding out the field, 2 and 1. I got the 4 fourth place votes to be number 1. Excluding ourselves, right? I don't want to talk about ourselves. It's kind of funny how this.
Well, I would like to mention this one thing. I was universally second on every single list. I don't know how that happened, but I was in second in every single list with no exception. So, yeah, that was a bit of a funny coincidence. I don't think no one else even came close to that consistency, but. Yeah, again, you had the tiebreaker since you had more first place votes, but that's probably the only thing we'll mention on that. Just a funny coincidence there.
Yeah, we obviously it's been a while since we've seen a unanimous spot. I think Brad was the last time we saw. Oh no, Brad and Ashley. I think Brad Ashley was a unanimous number one, I believe, at the end of the year. T3, and then of course maybe it was T5. Maybe myself T2. I think last year as well when I won March. I kept the momentum, but that was the last time I could think of unanimous number one. Unanimous number two, very rare. But going back to this conversation, G. Obviously, we don't need to explain the shocker. The shocker is gone. But out of the other people, not excluding ourselves, where do you see these other four contenders? Nick, Yepez, Ashley, especially. Where do you see them? Because we know Gon's the shocker for sure in this group.
Nick's automotive April was a bit concerning. Didn't really do a lot in that tournament to kind of beat the March allegations, which have happened so far, where the March winner ends up being mediocre for the rest of the season. So I mean that's really his goal for the rest of the season, to kind of beat that and just kind of prove that that I guess that voodoo wrong. But Yepez expected he's on a revenge tour. Ashley expected you'd expect her to be up here for trying to run it back. Gon, I mean obviously this high up is unexpected. I was thinking he could be somewhere in this top 25 at this point at the start of the season. Definitely not this high though, but he had a phenomenal breakout tournament in Automotive April. I'm excited to see what he could do in Tournament 3, especially if he can keep that momentum up. He suddenly propelled himself right into the Super League conversation, and he's the only rookie to do that so far. Background, the only one who's even sniffing it at the moment, and he's just waiting to break out of that round of 32 area for now.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thoughts. Ashley, we know what she can do. We know what Yepez can do. For both world champions. Obviously, we got Nick trying to beat the March out. Yeah, it's been, I don't know, man. It's just something about winning that tournament the last 3 years. It's been tough. And in the second round, we talked about it last year where I didn't do much. Well, I did win at least coming off the Bye Island. That's I guess another thing. The fact that we still have Bye Island, and I did get the win off that over Zach with the sweep, but then I lost to Cody, and then we saw Peter the first time, lost to Rogers in 20. Now he lost to. Ironically, Peter's been the epicenter of it. He lost to Rogers when he won March, and then he beat the King of March battle against Nick. So he's been an epicenter of that. That's interesting to note. But we'll see what Nick can do. God, I mean, what a run! You talk about where he was at the start of the year, where he may still not play every tournament. I know he's got a lot going on. I hope that changes, but I know he's got a lot. But the fact that he was able to make a run like this and really put himself in the top 10. He's got a shot at maybe staying here, right? Maybe even a double bye, or for him, just making the fields all that matters for him, considering no one even had him up here, maybe other than yourself. Maybe, did you even have him in your original field? I don't even know. I know
I had 3 rookies in my original field. It was background to Goldie. And Jenna, I think.
Okay.
Jenna and Goldie both had a win right now, so not terrible, but still could do a little better. Jenna had a weird tournament. I'm wondering how she'll bounce back after. I think definitely a tournament that she hasn't really experienced before in her career, where she had like a weird misstep. But well, I'm curious to see how the recovery is for her there. But Goldie, kind of just keeping the vibes up, trying to get to run here. Tournament 3, I gotta remember. Tournament 3 was the tournament she won in D2, so this is where she could cook a little bit. We'll see how Goldie does. Maybe keep an eye out for her. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll definitely see how when we get to the previews. But back to Gon here, I think it's just about getting consistency. Now you got 5-win base. Try to get 2 more this tournament. Get to the Sweet 16, and then play it where it lies after that. Yeah, we don't know what the magic number will be. The magic number, it could be 8. It could be 6. Think about it, the magic number. It could be 6. You got, let's say, all your wins are in quad 1 and 2. When we start getting to that time of the year, that's enough. And we've seen it. You go 6 wins in quad 1 and 2. That's a strong resume, right? So there could be a case where 6 is the magic number. Maybe 7. 7 seems to be a popular number to get in. So a lot of these guys at the top 15, or top 10, I would say, because I believe, even 12, top 12, I believe, because those are all the guys with 4 wins above in a good spot. Everybody else is scrapping for sure. So, at least I know Caesar and Toasty, but they're kind of different cases for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, G, that's going to conclude the top 25. Now we'll move over to a little bit of the preview. I think we had talked about this a little bit in the reveal show, but you want to explain to the fans what we're doing here and what we got for the fans that may have not known what was going on yesterday?
All right, so movie May is the theme. We are going to have an absolutely cinematic experience here in this tournament. So going to be a lot of exciting stuff here. We could go through the regions here real quick. Again, this is the Slapstick 64. The idea behind it is all the round names are going to be movie genres. This one, I mean, let's be honest, round 64 sometimes is usually the round that produces some of the comical moments in the league, especially for Division 1. May have some goofy plays, stupid decisions here and there. But yeah, might see a little bit of comedy here and there. You might get some occasional good gameplay, but there's also going to be some times where it's like complete nonsense. But we'll see how that goes. And then Thriller 32, got a lot of tense games here for a lot of people in a lot of different situations. This is usually the barrier for people to want to break out of that low consistency spot, like background, for example. To want to break through this round, going to be very tense and exciting. A lot of good matches expected here. Sci-Fi 16, don't really know what's going to happen this round. We've had a mixed bag in the past. Sometimes we have absolutely amazing matches all around. Sometimes we have really bizarre matches where some of them are just complete blowouts. So not really sure what we're gonna get. And then the Epic 8, which will be the regional final. Again, the epic final conclusion for each region, as two players will fight out to win the region and make it to the final four, and then from the final four try to move on to the final act and get the credits rolling in their favor. So those are the round names. The region names are the popcorn region, soda region, slushy region, and the candy region. So got some of those concessions you might buy during the film. But anything else I forgot, KT? That's generally the rundown of the theme for Tournament 3.
Yeah, just had to change the bracket base to the final app. Make sure I get that proper brand there. No, that was it. No, it was good. I don't really have much to say personally. I think I told you in DMs. Let's just exclude March Madness for right now, because March Madness is a set theme. I believe since 2023 T5, every theme has been really up to snuff. We've talked about since then. We've had Super League Brazil. Sure, it was a little weird, up to snuff though. Aquatic April. Everyone loved that one, and a lot of people loved Masquerade May. Jungle July was great. Everyone loved Space September. Really, other than the bot issues, really, in terms of the actual theme was good. And yeah, I have nothing to say bad about this theme. I loved Automotive April, of course. I'm a gearhead, so really, I think everyone's doing a fantastic job, G, on theme. March Madness, that's a custom theme, right? It's been a traditional theme. That's more player prestige tournament. We'll talk about that another time, but there could be ways to improve that for me, the Super League champ, whoever wins. But regardless, though, great theme here. Can't wait to get my snacks and ready to go. Let's get into it, G. Slapstick 64. Nothing really to say here, G. You're on the bye. Got the number one plate. There's no match preview for you, so thoughts on being on a bye. Enjoy. You said you needed it though. You did.
I very much needed this because I'm in an area of time right now where I have finals, and I am graduating soon, so I kind of need this time off, this bye island. So, it could not have come at a better time. If this is the only bye island I ever get, I am thankful it happened at this very moment. So, ultimately having some of that leeway is helpful. But unlike for most people, this bye island is not just all relaxation. A lot of it ends up being work. Due to a bunch of IRL commitments. So, yeah. But again, the timing of this could not have been more perfect.
Yeah, of course, the final season got to get up to snuff with D2. We'll talk about and other things, of course, with graduation season. We do. I think we may have one more episode before you graduate potentially. So we'll definitely give you a little shout out there before you become a free man. I guess you go to the real. I think
depends on how long the first round takes, but
that's true. Yeah, if this is the only time we get a chance, because that's why we are going to talk about it. I don't want to spoil the announcement. There is a big announcement. We'll talk about topic 4 of reasons why this round 1 could be a little bit different than usual. But let's get into it. We're going to start it off with Samper and Retro. Oh man, Samper coming off a tough loss to Pier. He's had a not a Samper-like year. I'm not going to lie. It's been not a Samper-like year. And Retro lost a barn burner against Seth. This is a tough one to predict. In any given year, this is Charles Sanford right all day. But I'm actually going to go with Sanford in 7 here. I have to go with the CPU, of course. I think Sanford's going to have a tough time in this game. Retro could really give him trouble. But I'm going to go with the EXP only because Sanford is a guy that he knows if he can't win it here, then what's the alternative? He can't win here. He's going to have to start really thinking about what can he do in T4, which is a summer tournament. before he goes back to school in T5 as a teacher. It's got to be now or never. I think in T4, but it starts to become a playoff game. This is the first of many that I think are playoff games. Give me Sanford in 7. What do you got?
Sanford needs to win desperately. If he does not win this game, I think his Super League hopes are really going to be in question at this point. Retro's kind of been a mixed bag. Sometimes he has flashes of brilliance, and other times he plays very goofy. So I'm not really sure what we're going to get here, but I could see this being close, but I think Sanford is going to be more motivated to get this win here and win it 4-2. And that will set up a very interesting Super League 2023 rematch. Hopefully with less expletives.
And a T3 rematch from the infamous Final Four. We're not going to talk about that.
Both our matches have infamous moments, so hopefully we do not make another one there.
Ironically, we skipped the year. We didn't see that match last year, so it happens, though. It's crazy how a lot of people have played in this league only in the postseason, never in the regular season, or have infamous moments. Speaking of infamous moments, well, there's never not an infamous moment with Heat Check Ard, but it has not been the Heat Check. Last night he kind of said, screw it, I'm just back to regular Sean Ard. Against Sting. Sting's having a really good season. Gee, I'm going with the CPU here. I think Ard's losing in 6 here. I'm not seeing anything from Ard. I think this is a year where, unfortunately, he's not himself. He's not himself, and I think Sting's got too much momentum. As much as he's my guy, I can't go with him here. I got to go Sting 4-2. He's got the momentum.
I also have Sting 4-2. I think Ard's kind of been all over the place right now, and that reveal show, I guess promo, because he wanted the WWE, and I heard what he was saying, and as soon as he was saying it, I was like, this is literally the John Cena Brussels promo, which is like, you need to get better material. I'm sorry. But I was waiting for him to say like the fans suck, and then he was gonna point out to that one little kid there, and then point at Nam. And it's like a toxic relationship or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Ard's in his head. He's all over the place. Sting at times can be in his head, but I think Sting's kind of in a better spot rolling into this tournament than he was than he was before. Although he did make the regional finals last season in tournament 2, so I don't think he actually did that well in tournament 3, but I think he'll be motivated to have a decent run here to try to throw himself well into that top 16. So I have Sting 4-2 in this one. The Ard downfall. I don't know if it's a downfall, but the Ard struggles continue, and this is really going to get to the point where we have to start looking at the potential consideration of where does he fall in terms of relegation, because there was a mid-season change also, which we'll probably talk about at the end, but yeah, that it's gonna be interesting to see how that falls if he still loses this and ends up going 0-3 right now.
Are gonna have to find something magical. It's the Red River Showdown here. Carson Zach. We talk about we set this up to where it'll be the wild card versus Texas Oklahoma. This is a classic Red River Showdown. Carson Zach. Tough game to predict, but I think Carson's 6. I think Carson's got a little bit more to play for in the sense that 3-win season so far and get a 4th one. I'm going to be honest, he's got a favorable second round matchup if he does win this one, because either one, whether it's his fellow statement or Sting, I think he can really shine in that moment. He's getting close to 100 start. I'm pretty sure Ard and him, ironically, will hit 100 starts. Both are Ard goes 5, and Carson just got to make it to game 3, which he will, of course. I think there's some momentum in Carson's side. He's got a lot of tailwinds coming for him. I'm going to go Carson 4-2. What do you got?
I have the Carson in a close one. I think he wins to 7. I think Zach's had a pretty good start to the season, but I think Carson's in a spot where he wants to try to make the postseason, because he was in a similar spot going into this point last season, but never really could capitalize off it. I think he's in a similar spot here, but a little higher on the grid now. So he's going to hope to try and launch himself into a position where he can put himself possibly in the field and control his own fate.
We'll see how that one goes. Looking forward to seeing the Red River Show between Carson and Zach. Speaking of this match, we got Clay Riders. Obviously, Clay really got out +2 against Larry Hill in his loss. Good tournament definitely a great tournament. T2 Riders, we talk about that all the time. Got the challenge win, lost to G, the eventual champion of their tournament winner of tournament 2. Close game here. I think this one goes 7, but I'm going to have to go with Clay here with the CPU, because I think the only thing I've really seen with Clay versus Riders is the power play thing. That's the The one thing Austin's got to work on. It's the one thing he'll probably learn, I think, from that game where he lost to you. But Clay's got a little bit too much to tank. I put him as one of my guys that could rock the boat. So I'm going to go Clay here. 7. What do you got, G?
In this one, I also have Clay. Although I think a slightly more definitive victory. I have 4-1. Rogers tournament 2. Rogers came out and he did the same thing he did last season. I haven't seen much, unfortunately, to where we won't get something different compared to past seasons. But maybe I'll be proven wrong here. I have Clay winning 4-1. We'll see if Rogers can do something different here this season, or if it will be the same thing for the third straight season, where has a great tournament, has a great, just plays well enough in tournament 2, and then the rest of the season he's out to lunch.
We'll see, because you don't want to be out to lunch in this next match. If you would have told me Varigold was a 14 seed 2 years ago after having the Summer Gold 24K style run, I would have called you crazy. I don't think I would have believed it. And it's still hard to believe he's fallen this far versus a guy that never loses really ever. Fought 3 or 4 player. And Jay's, this is a tough draw. I think Jay is just something about his game style in round 1 and 2 especially. It just works. It just clicks. I think it's because he doesn't beat himself up. He doesn't make mistakes. And for that reason, I like the composure. I like the consistency. Give me Caesar in 6. What do you got here, G?
I have Caesar in 6 also. Gold's kind of been out of it for a while now, but Caesar usually this round 1 he locks in. So I don't see why that would not continue here. I think this is kind of a rough draw for Gold. I think he's gonna just have to try to find some of that magic he found from two seasons ago. But otherwise, I have Caesar winning this one. Although, I mean, Gold could win in theory, but it's gonna take a lot for him to get this one.
Yeah, Caesar's always a tough draw round 1, no matter who you get. This is one of the most intriguing storylines into this. We'll talk about the 7th. This is probably the best line of the tournament. Starting it off with 2 guys that have known each other forever, Peter and JT. Man, these are the OGs. They were first here in the league March 23. These guys got a lot of experience. That's the full 26 tournaments under their belt here when they do play each other come Saturday.
Jay,
Top game.
I'm going to say this. I mean, we're coming into this. JT needs this win. He is 0-2 right now. If he goes 0-3, that's going to be disastrous. And at that point, he's going to be in a spot similar to where Peter, where he's suddenly in the relegation conversation. And that's crazy because this is the guy who was runner-up last season. So,
yeah, I'm going to have to go with the more desperate player. This is one of the few predictions I'm going to go desperation. I think JT gets a win here. It's going to go 7. Because they both know each other, I don't remember if they played. I don't think they've ever played. I'm just going to have, and this is a non-stream. I think the fact that it's a non-stream game, it might play into a little bit more JT where he can just be him. He's been streamed twice here and hasn't had much success. I'm going to go JT. I think he's going to get one of his magical Game 7 performances and gets his first win of the season. It'd just be unfathomable to think he would lose here, but you never know. What do you think?
I have JT winning. I think the story is going to simmer down for now with JT. I think he wins 4-1. I think for Anjak, he's going to have to find a way to recover after a very devastating sweep in the last tournament, where he had a decent run going, but then all his momentum just immediately died when he went up against Vapor. So he's going to have to find a way to rekindle that, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that quick enough against JT.
JT moves on. I'd be shocked if we have a different prediction on this one. Andy Ellison. Andy will get his 100 start come game 3. I'm going to make this brief. Andy 4-1. Ellison has been nowhere all season. I haven't seen much, to be honest. I think this is Andy. As long as he doesn't get into his own head, should be winning this one easy. What do you got?
Andy 4-1. I mean, I've not seen anything out of Ellison. I mean, I think a lot of people talk about relegation where it's like someone who it's like, oh, maybe they could be here, maybe that could be here. I think it would be very hard pressed to find someone who's not like, okay, Ellison's 100% in relegation at this point, because I even though he's not the lowest seed right now, I think he's easily been the least has the least peaks in terms of how high he can go. So yeah, I don't know. Ellison in some ways is kind of just also gives up when he gets down. So it's been a tough run for him. He was in the relegation tournament last season and survived, but with the way things are looking right now, he might have to roll through it with it again. So Yeah, I don't know. 4-1. Andy, I think, keeps the consistency up, and that's kind of all she wrote.
All right, we'll keep it rolling here. G, we'll move over to the soda region with the old bubbles. Well, you know who's on the Buy Island. I've been on here so many times. It's been my, I think, fifth time in my career or something. I know this place pretty well, Z. It's pretty much the island I love and call second home. I don't really got much to say. In terms of do I need this break? Honest to God, yes and no. I'm the host. Round one is so hard no matter what. I got to schedule everything. It is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, I do have 7 wins on the year. I don't mind taking a little bit off, especially where I was T3 last year, where it was different shenanigans. So I'm glad to maybe just take it off here, and we'll just move forward. I don't really got much to say. I've been here so many times. Anything else to add, or we're going to move on?
Uh, we'll see. We'll see how your round of 32 goes.
All right. Well, no matter what, I'll get a potential rematch of some sort. It's either a lost file or a real one. I'll be on DJ. We saw this match last year in the same tour. DJ was a 1 seed in the round 32. We gave him that 1 seed opportunity after he was the 4th best player in the league after the first Super League reveal ranking, which is crazy to think now where he's at now. 0-2 versus Abian, who's 1-1. But part of, or 1-2, excuse me, but part of it was self-inflicted. I'm going to go with the upset with the CPU here. I think DJ, he put really well against Drip. Abian had a disaster off the table. I don't know if he's fully recovered. I think DJ wins to set up the KT DJ for March 24. What do you got here, DJ? DJ in 7. What do you got, G?
I have Avian in 7. I think Avian. I mean, Avian had a bit of a weird ending to tournament 2, but I think he's looking to be more motivated to correct his wrongs and be able to get to that point with you and play that match that never happened. So, I think that's what his goal is going to be in this one. I think Curtis is still in that weird spot where he hasn't really found a solution to his shortcomings because he has been nowhere to be found since that disastrous Super League campaign. So. I have Avian winning this one. I think he's going to be motivated to get that actual match with you and play that one out.
All right, G-Vo going for the 7. Both got 7. We'll split this one. I guess you would say it's more the old school match of D2 versus the new school D2. Tapir Knight. Kind of funny. 12-13. Knight's at 13. He's at number 12, and Tapir's the old 4-13 line. It was just funny. That's kind of crazy. That is some really crazy symbolism there. This is a tough game. Knight. This is a tough draw for Knight. He's been really good all year, but the one thing he just hasn't been able to do is get a power play off. And this is a rock solid generator in Tapir. More than just a +4. He's a unit. Tough first round draw for him. I got to go Tapir 4-3. I think it will go 7, but Tapir is just a tough unit, man. It's not easy, especially when he's down here 23rd in the rankings. He wants to prove some people wrong. I'm going with the juice. I got Tapir in the win in 7. What do you got, G?
I think Knight is more motivated. I think he was a little dejected after tournament 2, but I think in between he's kind of built up that confidence to try to get that win to kickstart his season, and I think this is actually a decent draw for him. So I'm actually going to kind of disagree with you. I think you want someone like Tapir who kind of has that kind of style where he does a lot of switches that sometimes the +4 generator, because sometimes that +4 generator, sometimes it goes to the opponent. So we'll see how that plays out. I have Knight winning 4-3. I actually think this is a matchup to watch out for in terms of the overall round.
All right, we'll deal with the upset there. Ghost Jenna next. Ghost, obviously, we talked about that. Put him as one of my top players to break out. Jenna, a tough misstep against Nam. Ghost plays such this echo chamber style, though, G. I'm going to have to go with the CPU here and say Ghost in this one to 6. I think Jenna will show a lot of improvement, but this guy wants to play quick. Very similar to Myth. He wants the game over in 20 minutes. That's a tough style to play against. I'm going Ghost here in 6. What do you got?
This is kind of where where watching a lot of D2 actually helps you, because Jenna can play along with a quick style. So this is not something that's out of her comfort zone necessarily. While this isn't necessarily a preferred way of playing, she knows how to play it, and usually in these kind of matches, she's usually involved in the more exciting ones. So I think this could be a very close back and forth. And I think being motivated after how disappointing T2 went, I have Jenna winning this one. And I'm looking at my predictions now. I'm picking a lot of D2 players. Or I guess D2 promotions. So maybe there's a little bit of bias slewing in, but I think with a lot of these matchups that these players are getting, I think it mostly is lining up well to where they could get something. I think a lot of these guys are motivated to do something because, especially after seeing Ghana going on that great run, I think that's going to motivate some of them to kind of reach those same peaks.
We'll see if we get a 12-13 or is the classic 4-5. We'll find out. Tough game here. This is a rivalry game. New York, New Jersey. We talked about that, the OG rivalry. Seth Yoshi. It pains me to pick the New Yorker, but that's what the CPU say. I got to roll with it. I'll go with Seth. And the one thing Seth's been really good is just he's been in the booth, man. When you're in the booth, you can see a lot of things. And this tournament, I'm telling you right now, is we're going to see a lot of Seth Cole. He's got a lot of day games, which is great for him. Yoshi had just the terrible loss to Rat. He was not himself. He's got finals too. This is tough. I'm not seeing much momentum. Give me Seth in 6. As much as I think Yoshi can make a run, he did it here 1 year ago and got himself a silver medalist. It was a silver. Unfortunately, that was the game he needed to make Super League. He lost. I'm not seeing any momentum. I gotta go Seth here in 6. What do you got?
I talked with Yoshi in between tournaments. He was having a bit of a mentality issue, and I think that kind of showed its reared its ugly head, I guess, in tournament 2. I did discuss with him, and I think he does have a bit of a new strategy going into this one, which I think will kind of block out some of the outside noise. We'll see how it goes. I don't think Yoshi plays bad on the table, so ultimately, I actually think he'll find a way to recover win 4-2, but we'll have to see how he executes his new game plan, because if he doesn't execute it the way he needs to, then I feel like you could see something similar than we saw in tournament 2.
We'll see. It's definitely going to be a rivalry game in terms of states. There's no records. It's just who gets the supremacy. And we talk about the Tri-State Podgy. There we go, keeping it going. Logan Acosta, PA versus New York. We had the Red River Pod. Now we got the Tri-State Pod. Acosta hasn't won a game, so he's due for a win. But
Acosta has one career win in the league.
Yeah, against Fitz. He's due for one. Not today, though. I got to go Logan 4-1. It has him. He's playing better. I'll say this much. He played very well against Toaster Guy. He played well against me. But this is Logan, man. This is a guy that's been on a heater so far. I think it's just too much Logan here. What do you got, G? I'll go in 5.
I have Logan at 5 too. I mean, Logan's had such a consistent start, and Acosta is just consistently on the bubble for relegation. So yeah, you look at that stat line and you're like, how did this guy stay in D1? But he found a way. He was literally he was number 52 on the grid at the end of the season. Last season, he barely avoided the relegation tournament, and he's in the exact same spot now going into tournament 3. So he just has a really big affiliation with that number 52 spot. So I don't know. And I just have not seen enough out of Acosta. This long-term style, we've seen it not really work here. It needs to have adjustments. You can't just go pure long style, and that's just what Acosta has gone for. So I think it might be a bit of a challenge at first for Logan, but once he kind of gets to the rhythm, I think you'll be able to figure it out and roll through with it. So give me Logan in a not in 5 actually. I'll make it 4 too. How about that? Because I think Logan might get off to a bit of a slow start.
All right, 14. Of course, Logan coming up we had that one weird game against Lane where that was a weird series, but then he backed it up against Mitch. Couldn't get the right cards. Gee, this 7-10 line, I'm telling you, man, it's definitely a good line. Ziemba Allen here, obviously great run for Ziemba. Tough loss to Monkey where he got. I don't even know what happened. I wasn't there, but from what I understand, just was not himself that night. Allen, I don't even know. He had a weird game against Leah. It was a reffing situation where there was a wrong card started put. That was Brad reffing. I'm going with the upset. I'm going to say Allen 4-3. I think CM, but the thing with this is Allen hasn't had a normal game all season. He played a checked out Kev, then he played a 2.5-hour barn burner with the champ in terms on stream. It was crazy, 3 hours long. And then he had that Leah game. Ziemba, I think, similar to Peter, tough loss, and don't know if he's going to be able to recover. I think Allen could be a sleeper here, and I'm going to go Allen win this game. I kind of a spoiler here. Puzzle Dan thinks Allen's winning T3, so that's a hot take right there. That'd be something. What's your thoughts on this one, G?
That's an interesting take. I respectfully disagree.
That's his boy.
I respectfully disagree. But yeah, I think Allen. This is an interesting matchup. Jim has had a good start to the season, but I think Allen's due for one. I would say he wins 4-3, especially after how tournament 2 went. But There's always a bunch of stuff going on with Allen, so I'm not really sure how it's going to be come game time, but I think he'll find a way to pull through and survive. But this is going to be an interesting path for him if this so-called prophecy for Puzzle Dan, where he goes all the way, happens, because he has some interesting competition to go through.
We'll see for both of them, see if you can get that prediction right. Well, speaking of that, be Vapor M. M's played really well this season despite not having a win. Showing up the games is great. Vapor, yeah, he had that really bad loss to Myth where he just was out to lunch on card luck. Couldn't really get anything cooking. I'll go Vapor in 6. I think this is closer than people think, but Vapor's got that house money. I think he's going to be able to go into this one saying house money, and I think the fact that he has nothing to lose and M, in a way, despite playing better, maybe give him a challenge. He'll get off the rust and he'll go for the win. I think M's going to have to start thinking about some new strategy changes herself, maybe in T4. But I'll go Vapor in 6. What do you got?
Vapor usually does good in this first round, and we've seen last tournament it's either sweep, it's a sweep or get sweeped mentality. So I have Vapor winning 4-0. I don't think this will be very close. M's played okay for the start of the season, but I think something's going to give at this point. I think with someone who's as consistent in the first round as Vapor is, I think that's going to prove too much for M here at this point.
That would be something, though, if you look at this, man. If M even somehow pulls the upset, you just think about 1 year ago with the whole Survivor night. Oh, my God. It's kind of funny to think about that happens. Kind of full circle if it does happen, but it would be a stunner. Now we'll go to the slushy region. Of course, you can't have a good popcorn without either soda, or if it's a little bit hot in the summertime as we start to get into those warmer months. We are in May, right? We're starting to get warmer. Well, maybe not for G. He's already in Miami. It's always warm down here. But at least for these northeastern peoples up here.
Always warm.
It's starting to get a little warmer up here, so about time. Interesting that this guy on the Myth. See, I don't think we ever had this again. Could you imagine that we would have, if you would have said at the beginning that you would have a Bi Island and it'd be 3 showrunners, his only Myth, D2U, and me, D1. That's kind of funny. My thoughts on Myth on a bye, I don't know, because this is the DJ Curtis situation. It was literally Region 3. If I'm not mistaken, it was Region 3. DJ was the 3rd best 1 seed, and he was the first time 1 seed, so he's in the DJ spot from last year. I don't know. What do you think about that? That can be a curse or a blessing. Something. What do you think?
I'm not really sure, honestly. Myth's not really been in this spot before, so I guess in a way he's kind of channeling what he's been able to do in his own league. So we'll see, but it's going to be interesting to see how this goes for him because he's going to have. Well, I mean, it depends on which version shows up, but he could have a tough opponent in the round of 3 too to start things off for his campaign.
Yeah, it could very well be indeed. Well, we're going to start it off with Drip or Goldie. This is an interesting match. Drip, obviously, a tough loss to Yepes. Goldie, great game against Peter, loss. This is a toss-up. CPU is going with Drip in 7. I'll agree. And I think the only thing I'll say about Drip, man, he's such an efficient player. You look at his career; he's 7-6, yet he's 30-43. That's insane. He's 2-2 and he's 9-14. He's very efficient, and usually round 1 is where he cooks. I'm gonna go round 1. Drip gets the win here in 7. We'll be a barn burner, though. We'll play another barn burner to start the year. What do you got here?
If we're comparing the output to what their current record is, I think Drip has been one of the most fraudulent players all season. He has not looked good in any of his matches so far. And this is honestly for Goldie, this could be her tournament because this is the tournament she won last season in D2. So I actually think she kicks things off here and maybe gives a bit of a whiplash for Drip here. And I have Goldie winning 4-1. I think Drip in theory would take this as a realization that he's got to fix something here because I don't know. I don't think he's looked good at all this season. He's 2-2 right now, but I think it's easily one of the weaker 2-2s so far. So I think Goldie's going to be more motivated and generally have a better game plan going into this one to get the win. So give me Goldie 4-1. I know that's a bit of a difference from what you predicted, but I have just been relatively disappointed with how Drip's been playing so far.
It's a fair assessment, and Drip, he said in the past, he doesn't feel he belongs in the novice class. He should have been a vet. This will be a kind of more of a prove-it moment for Drip, see if he can get it done. Next game, Toasty Steven. This is going to be a very interesting game. Toasty's starting off the year really hot. Steven is, where's he been? This is a tough draw. Toasty, he's made some mistakes, sure, but that usually comes round two after. Round one, he's been rock solid through the first two tournaments, and he's not the same player where he was a year ago. Let's not forget he gave up a 35 card comeback, and then he won that series against Sanford. His whole season changed from there on out. Toasty's 4-2. I think he continues the momentum. He moves on. What do you got, G?
This sucks for me personally, but I have Toasty 4-3. I just don't know what's going on with Steven this season. This has kind of been not what we saw from him last season in D2. And just hasn't really been coming up to the plate so far. But I'll be curious to see how this devolves. I could maybe see him winning this. I have it going 7, but yeah, Steven's got to find something here because so far it's not been great. There was some flashes in that Tapir game, but ultimately that was a losing effort because Tapir kind of has Steven's numbers. So I'm not sure. I mean, there are a good chunk of people who I'm actually concerned about in this region. I mean, we're going to talk about another one here in just a second, but yeah, I have Toasty 4-3. I hope Steven can find a way to get the win here because I would hate the D2 champion to be 0-3 to start the year, but that's how it goes sometimes.
That's how it goes indeed. Next match is Lara Lamas. You look at Lara, who a great run, makes his first Elite Eight. Cody had that crazy game against Andy, didn't get the power play. Really just couldn't use the power play in the game 6 where he had it. Andy did a great defense at the power play. You know where I'm going with this one, though, G. Got to go Lara 4-3. That's what the CPU says. I know it's going to sound crazy, but I just don't think. I'm just not seeing it from Cody. I'm not seeing it this year. However, I wouldn't be surprised now that he's had all this desperation mode. He's in playoff hockey mode. He'll pull something out in Game 7 for once. I'll go Lara 4-3. I wouldn't be shocked though if it goes the other way because he is in playoff hockey mode.
I mean, you're saying he pulls out something Game 7, yet he'd be losing in Game 7 in this situation. So
Nah, he ain't gonna win this game. I gotta go Lara though. But I had to throw it in there because it is hockey season, so I gotta throw it in there. But it is. I'm gonna go Lara 4-3. CPU's on this one for sure. What do you got?
My biggest problem with Lamas this season, especially, and I think some of it lingered last season, is the mentality is just not there. Because I mean, once he's down or like he has a game or two where like he's just not really getting what he needs, it's like he gets frustrated and kind of like throws his hands up in the air and gives up. So I mean, if he goes down early in this one, I said it before in the last tournament, then that's a really bad sign. And unfortunately, with the Lara's momentum at this point, I think there's very much a similar scenario popping up here. So I have Lara winning 4-2. I think they capitalize off their run in Automotive April, and I think they try to look to be in that Super League contention. Lamas just needs a complete reset in terms of mentality, in terms of, like, in some essence, his gameplay. Because what he's doing right now, in my opinion, is not sustainable for him for the rest of the season. He needs a serious adjustment at this point because maybe it'll happen in this game. Maybe he'll do something we haven't seen. But in terms of what I'm able to see right now, I have not seen anything to convince me otherwise.
It's going to be an interesting game, and we were just talking about hockey season. Well, hockey's up next. This is going to be a crack show. Cap hockey, they both like to play it low. Man, I don't know. This is going to be a flip the coin. Comes down to luck. I'll go Cap in 6, though. The Cap is... It's hard to believe Cap is even a 6 seed. He hasn't been this low since T1 2024, his rookie. We really don't rank him. I think he's got a little bit more juice in the tank. Hockey, the thing with him is the composure, man. He's got to get back to that composure when he was playing against DJ because he had the 2-0 against Sanford and then just threw it in the bin. I'm going to go Cap 6. This is a tough draw, especially with Cap coming in off a loss. What do you got here?
I have Captain 4-0. I think this game is going to have 3 5-card starts because hockey wants to go with it, and it blows up in his face. Yeah, that's kind of how he plays sometimes. I think one of his biggest weakness is where he goes on the card starts because usually he makes a lot of choices with that don't benefit him. So I think this ends up being a disastrous game for him, and he loses 4-0. So I think Captain's going to be playing with vengeance also because he is not happy with how his season has started so far.
No, Cap definitely was a T2 winner. He was locked in at this point. Cap already locked in, ready to roll to Athens. Now we will try to get it back to Bangkok. We'll see. Blaine Bryant, where do I... Oh, God. This one... Man, I don't know what Brian going to show up. Is it the Yepes Brian? Is it the Carson Brian? Is it the non-Brian from last year where he almost won? Or he should have won?
Where he should have won, honestly. But
I don't know what Brian's going to... Because I don't know what Brian's going to show up, I'm going to go Lane 4-2. I think I'm just going to stick with the CP. I know what CPU said 4-1. I'm going to go 4-2. I think Lane, he's been just kind of flatline. He's been vanilla ice this year. It's been very vanilla, bland, right? But that's what's going to get you far. Get a win here and then move on to play potentially Cap. That could be a resume builder. It could be a defining moment. I like Lane here 4-1 or 4-2. What do you got?
I mean, you're just taking my prediction. I have Lane 4-1. I don't know what version of Brian's going to show up. I bought into the hype at first, and then he completely disappointed me. So I am not making the same mistake twice. Lane's again. I kind of agree with you. Lane was kind of sporadic all over the place last season. This season, he's just kind of been tame. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's all crazy. He's talking all crazy. This season, he's been like tame. That's it. Just like small little whisper, like damn, like that. I don't even know if that picked up, but he's just not really making much noise. But I think it's working out for him so far, in some capacity. So I have Lane winning 4-1.
That's what you gotta do, right? We talk about just flying under the radar and then get hot at the right time. We know what Lane can do in T4. We saw that last year. He made that run. He's got a shot. Well, this is probably out of all the 7-10, this is the most interesting one. Background character gets his first home game, and congrats to Radin, a 10 seed. Who would have had Radin at the start of his career as a 10 seed ever?
Probably Radin himself.
I'm going to say Radin actually puts up a fight here, and this one's only going to be BC and 7. I actually, you know what? I've been the harshest Radin critic since the day he was here after that crazy shout Jerry Sour Patch Kid game. I'm impressed with him, man.
Anti-shoutouts for me on that one.
Yeah, but regardless, I'm actually going to turn a little new leaf. I'm proud of the kid. He's definitely shown... I know he showed up late against Yoshi. That was kind of controversial and all, but his play styles look good, and you can't overlook it. And you don't want to fall into that trap because his background could have some maybe games to figure it out a little bit. He'll still win 7, but I'm going to give Radin his praise here. He deserves it, especially to be a 10 seed in his career where I thought he would only go up to maybe 15 at most. He's done his job. So what do you think here? Despite the loss, I think he's building something for the future. What do you got?
Background has to keep his head screwed on this game. That's going to be the most important thing for him. If he gets screwed off, he is losing this match. If he can stay composed, I think he will win. I think he also needs to hope there are no bot issues during his match because both his losses this season so far have had a weird bot issue at some point. So if a bot issue happens during that game, you need to bet the house on Radin winning. Because for some reason, Background has a curse with the bot cursing him. So he's hoping for a clean game there, but I think it's going to be a very hectic game where Background is trying to keep calm, but I think he'll barely survive 4-3.
There's something to be said about that for the whole ball. We'll talk about that a little bit later in topic 4. This is probably... I'll have to go back in history, but Matt Johnson's first 3 games is basically similar to what Andreas Allen had last year. Allen's first 3 games last year was a prime round 1 ard, KT, and then captain. This is a prime Jay Caesar, KT, and now Ashley. That's brutal. That has got to be one of the most brutal stretches to play 10-time medalists combined and somebody that's been to the Sweet 16 8 times in Caesar. I think back I'll say as much. He'll put up a fight, but it's not enough. Ashley 4-1. That's a rough draw, man. That's a rough draw for Matt. He's got to at least take solace in knowing that he's played the 3 best players, at least to the start in terms of just maybe skill in his mind. That maybe can give him some for T4, but that's a rough, brutal schedule. Not to play against world champ. I got to go 4-1 Ashley here. What do you got?
I actually have a 4-3. I think this is going to be a matchup where it really comes down to the wire. I think we see some of that Game 7 Mac that we saw in the past, but I think Ashley's going to use her experience to pull through and get the win here. So, but I'll keep an eye out on this one. This could be a good one. Mac just really needs a good result here, especially with only 2 game wins so far in the season. So making it at least 7 would be a really big help. So I think he brings it to 7, but I think Ashley's going to find a way to pull through and survive.
Well, that will be it for that region. We got some interesting names, and now we go to this last region where only one seed is playing. That's Yepes.
Then that's that's because I'm gonna mention this now.
Who
Well,
else?
Kev is obviously there. Obviously not here. H is not here, and then Dark not playing this. Is Dark coming back or no? I don't really
He
know.
may come back T4. He may come back T4. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's actually gonna throw Dark in a tough spot for the rest of the season because he's now gonna have to get a win to get out of relegation. So with the way it's trending right now, he literally has to get a win because he could be in huge trouble with the new format. But we'll probably talk about that later in topic 4. But we'll move on to the 116 here with Yepes MGR. Why don't you take it away?
Well, I think this one's a case of, yeah, I don't really got much to say on this one. I haven't seen much from Grim. He's a great guy, but that's about all I want to say. Yepes can't sweep people for the life of him, other than Quint, which was kind of ironic. We're recording it on his birthday, but I'm gonna have to go Yepes here. Quint's birthday, by the way. I'll go Yepes at 4-1. I don't think Yepes really is a guy to sweep people, so I think Grim gets a win. What do you got here, G?
I think Grim puts up actually a pretty good fight. I don't see these higher seeds escaping these matches with relative ease for the most part. I think MGR makes Yepes sweat a bit. But I'm gonna say 4-3. Yepes barely hangs on, but MGR shows some life in his season in this one, and maybe gets something going in tournament 4.
All right, this is. I've been waiting for this moment. Gee, this is the game. This guy Tago and Brad. This man Tago finished 3rd last year in this tournament. Brad finished 1st. He's the defending tournament winner. They played in the Super League. Brad got the bet. This is an 8-9 in round 1 when both these guys were on the top of the mountain less than 6 months ago. This is going to be a barn burner. I'm going to call it. This is the best game of the tournament.
I mean,
I think this is it.
Both these guys need to win badly in this one, and for different reasons. Brad needs to win badly because he doesn't want to go 0-3, and Tago needs to win badly because he needs to find a way to redeem himself in the round of 32, which has been a complete disaster for him so far.
Tago, this whole season has either been dishing out a sweep or general sweep or getting dished one out to him. It's been sweep city. This ain't a sweep. He gets the job done in 7. He'll get revenge on Brad, but I think this is going to be a crazy series. Both these guys are evenly matched on paper. The fact that this is a round 1 match in some eyes is criminal. This has the making of being the best match in a round. Both guys made the podium last year in this said tournament. It's going to be crazy. Who do you got? I got Tago and Set. It's going to be a great game, though.
And one of them's not even going to make the top 32 this time, so that's how it goes. But yeah, I think this will be a good game. I think it'll be a close game, but I think something breaks the ice and not cause a game 7. I think Tago wins this 4-2. I just think he has this better round 1 consistency so far, and he's really looking to try to get something going in the round of 32. But again, it could be another situation where he wins round 1 and then gets destroyed in round 2. So that just might be the tale of his season, unfortunately. But this is going to be interesting for Brad. He knows he needs to win this game. So he's gonna try to bring out all the stops here to get the job done.
I'd be in the same situation as JT and many others. Oh, gee, I'm gonna have to give this one to you because you've seen both of these guys. Have we ever seen this in D2? Have we ever seen this one? I don't know.
We did actually.
Yeah, go for it. You take this one then.
And this was a best of 7 in D2. This happened in Acoustic August. It was the round of 16. Gone was the higher seed. Camaro needed to win that match to keep his chances alive to make the playoffs. And Camaro walked away with the win 4-3. Acoustic August were probably Camaro's best tournament run ever. So that's partly what happened, but Camaro was 1-up historically on Gone, so he knows what to expect going into this. And Gone, coming off an amazing run from tournament 2 here, now has to go into tournament 3 and try to replicate that to some extent. But he's going up against someone who he has not beaten before, and someone who he's played before. So Camaro needs a win. The thing with Camaro is sometimes he just does not play great, but sometimes he could just randomly pull something out. And I think this is actually going to be one of those situations. I think I'm going to be one of the very few people who picks this, but I have Camaro winning this 4-3 in a shocker.
Some people did pick that at the reveal show last night. I'm going to go with the momentum and Gone. It's the quad deuces here. The old 2-2-2-2-2 on the numbers. I haven't seen this match, I believe, personally. I don't think I watched it last year. However, I think Camaro will put up a fight, but I think this is just too much momentum for Gone. I know it was last year and all, but something about that momentum. I'm going to roll with 4-2 Camaro. Okay, let's go.
I'll say this much so far out of the pickups, not a single person has picked Camaro so far, but the pick'em is not
Yeah,
closed
no,
yet. So
yeah, and a lot of the people that reveal shit don't. Maybe they don't do the pick. That's true. Well, Jay, this is another game that's another what happened? Why is this round one? Nam Brock. The intriguing storyline about this one is Nam has a career record against Brock, I'm pretty sure, of 3-8 or something. And Brock has Nam's number. But I have not seen the same WB that it was in the Super League in T5. I'm going Nam. I know he got torched in his sleep, but I think Nam gets the job done. This is a classic. There's too much respect in this game. Nam and Brock have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. They were both in that Group B. It's almost a brotherhood there, but I think Nam going to get the win 7. It's going to be a barn burner, but I haven't seen enough from Brock this year. I'm going Nam in 7. What do you got?
I think Brock is motivated to try to get himself on the board here, and I think we've seen historically when Nam has to suffer a massive loss, he takes a while to recover from it. It's usually not in between tournaments. It usually takes at least one tournament in between. So I actually think we see something similar here. I think Brock finally gets himself on the board here. He's motivated. He does have Nam's number at times, so I'm gonna have Brock winning this 4-2. And moving on, I think even though Brock hasn't had a great start to the season so far, I think playing someone he's familiar with might help him be able to get that win and start his season going after his very slow start.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. But another Super League match in T5 match. We saw this. It's crazy. 3 out of the last 6 tournaments we've seen this match. So that's funny to know. It starts to develop a rivalry here. Leah Bo, first time match here. Now, interesting. Leah, good season, great season to start the year. Had a tough loss to Ghana, and then Bo just got torched by Lara. I think Bo's hungry, man. Bo is hungry to get something going, but it's not going to be this tournament. I think Bo's really a T4 kind of guy. I think he'll be similar to Lane. He could make a run there. I'm going Leah here. She's done a great job this year. Keeps the momentum going. I'll say Leah 4-2. What do you got?
When Bo has to face someone who is part of the TWOW community, that's somewhere he comes from and is very familiar with a lot of the people, I feel like for some reason he kind of lets off the gas and just kind of something just does not click for him. This is another situation where it's TWOWer versus TWOWer, so I think with how good Leah's start's been so far and some of that momentum she's carried, I think she wins 4-2. And Bo is just kind of going to be left scratching his head here, figuring out what he needs to do against these TWOWers, but yeah, this will be an interesting one. I'd keep an eye out for this match, but I think Leah continues her very good starts to the season.
All right, Leah Bo, who will they play? It'll be Nick Monaco. Nick trying to beat the allegations in March. Monaco has looked like the best 14 line player. He put up a fight against Lane. Ashley, he's definitely a scrapper. For that reason, I only think Nick wins this one 7. Eric has done something that he used to be more that slow. He moved the pace. The pace is quick from Eric. It's not slow Eric anymore. He's methodical. He's working on the power play. Nick's got to be careful. I think he'll win the 7, but this is a different Eric. And he's showing up on time, too, which is great. And Eric got a card, too. Of course, Eric gets a card. Leah got a card as well. They're new to the deck. That's a little bit of extra juice for them. I still think Nick wins, but closer than people think. Nick in 7. What do you got?
I have Nick in 7 also. I agree with you. I think Monaco has been kind of scary, and Nick is in that March voodoo where he needs to escape it. The March winner hasn't gone winless the rest of the season, so that's why I'm not picking Nick to lose here. So I think he will get some wins here and there, but I mean, I feel like this voodoo is very real. So Nick's gonna have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, I guess, to try to shake this voodoo off. But this is gonna be a very close match, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one for Eric, what he can do. The last 7-10, another great 7-10 here. This is probably the best line. Chamek Arya. Chamek loses 5 seeds. He needs to find something. He's on the bubble. Obviously, that's going to change because that's not off of the Super League criteria. Arya, tough loss to you. Really just didn't have the feel. One ammo versus long style runs. I'm going Arya in 7, though. Chamek, a lot of stuff personally going on. I don't know how. I'm not going to say a lot, but I don't know how locked in he is. Not sure. I think Arya will be a little more locked in, gets the win 7. What do you think?
Arya needs this bounce back win. I think she'll get the job done 4-2. Chomic's a little bit all over the place right now, and we've talked about how his start of the season has been a bit of wishy-washy, so I think Arya gets to win here and kind of gets herself back on track.
The last game, we saved the best for last, G. Good Lord, this game. Monkey ALP. Oh, man. Monkey is up.
Okay,
He
wait.
even himself said,
Could you say that again?
Monkey ALP?
No. Like before that. Before like what'd you say about this match? What's this match?
The best match to say the best for last?
Are you sure about that?
It's a joke.
It's not
Monkey
it's not a joke to me. I take this very seriously, KT.
Look, man. Monkey himself said this is the banana peeler versus the Sharpie smeller. So there you go. Look, Monkey, he's got to be very careful, and here's why. ALP, let's not forget, against Peter Ronjek as a 16 seed, made a insane March run last year where he was one step away from being Albion and getting to his first E8. This is going to be a trap game for Monkey. He's got to avoid it. He'll get the win 7, but ALP has 0 to lose, and that's a dangerous precedent. That's where he started his career. He knows this position. Monkey hasn't been a 2 seed since that game against Lane, I believe, where he got torched in the 100th game series. It's been a hot minute. So, yeah, I think that was ironically on a Bye Island when we had that crazy Bye Island T4 where we lost 7 people. I'm going to go Monkey, but it's closer than people think in 7. What do you got here, G?
All right, here's what's gonna happen. ALP's gonna walk in, gonna uncap the Sharpie, gonna take a big sniff.
Oh boy.
And lose 4-1. So yeah. This Sharpie nonsense does not work. We've seen it not work. He really needs to come up with a better gimmick here at this point. And I think Monkey's shown in the last tournament that he's not a player to mess with, even though the Final Four did not go the way he was hoping for. So I think Monkey kind of silenced some of the critics here, wins 4-1, and ALP continues his slide into relegation. But at least he'll have his multicolored Sharpies with him as he continues to figure out what could be going wrong as he's staring at the problem.
Okay, then. Well, on that note, we'll move on to topic 3. Excuse me. That was
topic 3.
That was one way to end it. I'm not gonna lie. All right, topic 3 here. Well, G, it's all you here. We got a little D2 update. What's been happening? A little bit of we made some changes, some procedure changes. We want to talk about that, and a little preview here as we go into May, meteorological May. What we got?
So there's been changes between tournament registration. So due to some like MIAs, we decided to make it where if you don't make the round of 16, you have to like reconfirm that you're good to go. Whether it be an emoji check mark or a verbal confirmation. Ultimately, the system I think is doing a good job in terms of weeding out the people who are not on the fence. So it is we are getting a little less people than we did the first 2 tournaments, but I think if we don't have any DQs, I think ultimately it will be better than what we had before. So yeah, but we still have a good crowd of people here, and I'm looking forward to this tournament. But meteorological May, definitely a mouthful to say, but I'm looking forward to this one. This is we are halfway through the D2 regular season, and we do have some people who are slowly emerging as potential contenders for the D2 championship, whether to make it or to win the whole thing. We could run down a few of them here, as they're probably going to be the ones that end up looking to be favorites going into tournament 3 as the higher seeds. So do you want to start? Do you want to start with your boy here? Because I don't think we discussed it, but J Money won the Yeah, J Money won the Archery April in a not very close finale. It was very quick games all around, so that one went by quick. But J Money got the win, locked into the D2 championship. KT, any quick thoughts on that as he enters as the number 1 overall seed, looking to try to go back to back?
I'm not going to glaze him here, man. Listen. Congratulations, you won. Keep it up, right? Because what happened to Luke? Look what happened to Luke. He won in March. He won February Flurry, then he lost in March, right? And that's the problem, right? You get on this incredible high. Congratulations, you did it, but you got to remember, to get the auto spot to be locked into D1, you got to be a top 4 player. He can't be overlooking and thinking, oh, the road's unclear, right? I got past the detours. I got past the stop signs. Full speed ahead. We're on the Autobahn. No, we ain't. We ain't had no Autobahn. You still got to get through the detours. Right, so he cannot overthink this just because I got a tournament when I'm locked into anything. Because down there is different. You want to get locked into that auto top 4. He's got to be consistent throughout the season. Now remember, he didn't play T1. I know there's a lot of top guys there that have DQ wins and, didn't play the first tournament or something, or maybe played one, didn't play. There's a lot of weird things down there, so it makes it a little hard to rank. But I'm proud of him. But at the same time, he's my friend, and he's got to show why he's out there with everyone else. He can't just give the special treatment. I know what he can do, but at the same time, it's all about the mentality as we talked about. And if you start to think about the final destination and not the journey and the process, you'll overlook the journey, right? You got to think about the final destination at another time. Once you get promoted, that's your final destination. Great. Think about it then. Right now, don't overlook the journey. As for Joao, talk about him a little bit. Same kind of, he didn't play T1 either, right? So that's another one. He's got same kind of thing. You can't overlook the journey. Just because you made a finale don't mean jack squat, right? And look at Luke. I said at the beginning here, I think he would win the D2 season. Congratulations, you won February 3rd, but he's got to stay locked, right? Okay, you had your gimme. In golf, you got your gimme. You had your handicap play right there. Now you got to go out there and prove it and earn it. So I'm interested to see what these tournament winners can do to keep the momentum, because we saw what happened to Luke. It could happen to Jay just like that. I mean, the problem, G, and we talk about it all the time, it's the element of surprise. We don't know who these new people coming in are. These new people coming in, they had nothing to lose. They don't know the system. They're just, okay, here we are, right? And because of that, that makes things a little bit more unique compared to, let's say, a fixed system in the top league where it's all right, everyone knows everyone. Here we don't know. I had no idea Joe Blow off the street is coming off for test session. So that's the one thing to know for sure. But keep it going.
I mean, in terms of the rookies we have here, Mazu at Marble side, 2 more people from the 12 side of things. Hole's another one. We have Floppy House, which is a friend of Ghost here, so we'll see how that goes. Ryder, who has some experience in the Big Five, the Big Five League, which actually is one of the only other league that uses the MRU Uno bot. Little fun fact. Yeah, I mean, that's the list right now, but we'll see if any of them pop off. But in terms of other contenders, I mean, we have a few people locked into the LCQ at least right now. What about Ridley? Ridley, only other person with 6 wins right now. Made the Final Four last tournament. Came up short against Joao. Any thoughts on Ridley's chances here as they look to keep up a relatively good start to the season going?
Yeah, it's just about consistency. I think at this rate, you're locked into the LCQ. You go house money. You go aggressive. All in on the table. Try some different things. Maybe you haven't tried. Play a little bit around with the strategy. You go all in. You throw the house money, right? You're in a good spot. You don't want to lay off the gas per se, but you want to go all in, because when you have that threshold where you beat that certain, that's already a boost of confidence. You got some wins in your sail. You got plenty of tailwinds for you. No headwinds on the backside. You go all in. Try some different things. 6 wins. Think about what's good is if you stay consistent, you get another Sweet 16, right? That's 2 wins. You get another one. That's 10-win season. That's really looking clean to get into the top 5 conversation even. So that's what it really is goal is 4 more wins and you start entering that top 4 conversation, top 5 conversation where it really matters. So that's my thoughts on him for sure.
Let's talk about Gio here. Only player to make back-to-back regional finals, and unfortunately lost both of them. So any thoughts on Gio trying to make it back for a 3rd crack at it and maybe breaking through this time?
Good old Italian stallion, my media friend. Yeah, he's a great guy, but at the same time, for him, great. Got the consistency. You're in the same thing as Ridley, right? 6 wins, right? 6. Well, does he have a DQ win? Though?
He has a DQ win, yeah. So
okay. Still though, 5 regular ones. I still count as a win, even though it is kind of more of the artificial one. It still counts. 6 wins. You guys still think same mentality. You go for broke. You have nothing to lose in a sense. You try something. Well, actually, for him, it's a little different. He plays that Uno draw +4 stuff. Uno draw. I've seen it before. It's definitely it's more of a mind game. It's more of an eyesore. You never know. You never know with that kind of style. Sometimes you just don't want to overthink it. Maybe he, I don't think he'll do it, but maybe he'll clean it up a little bit. Maybe do a little bit less of that and start locking into chip mode. But we'll see. I think he's in the same spot as really, ironically, just go out there and really go for broke, right? You have nothing to lose, and you got the threshold beat, and you take it with a grain of salt and think about that top 5 for sure.
All right, let's grab a few people here who had good Februarys but disappointing Aprils. Let's talk about Luke, Mark, and Bree. Maybe even throw Scars in here as well. What do these guys need to do to be able to get back on track here in this meteorological May? Especially someone like Scars who does not have that LCQ spot locked up yet.
Oh, I forgot about Mark as well. Yeah, Mark, did he lose round one? I'm pretty sure you lost round one.
Mark lost round two, but his round one was a DQ. So yeah.
You're right. I remember it was yep. So Luke and Mark are in the same spot. They have to find out what makes them tick for what they did. They got to get back to what worked in the first tournament, which was February. They got to find out what worked and replay it back. I think they have to. I look at Mark's game. What really made his game great was he was able to play this composed, really methodical and clean Uno, right? Great ammo control, less true rules, which we know he loves and adores. He's got to get back to what he was doing. In fact, Luke, I already mentioned him, right? He's just don't become too invested in. Okay, I got the tournament. You settle. You can't settle down here. You can't settle, right? Remember, that's the difference. You're trying. If this was a Super League thing, you win. Okay, you're locked in at the end of the year. Here, you're trying to get promoted. You can't settle. You have to. You always got to be on attack. That's for sure. Scars, maybe a little bit of some. I call genie in the bottle luck the first tournament, right? A little similar to Joao, a little magic, right? Maybe they didn't know the play style. Maybe starting to get figured out a little bit. And that's what happens to you sometimes when these high flyer or these no flyers turn into high flyers. You don't know their game style. You have no idea where they came from. It's like a rookie. Similar to Gone, you don't know their style, and it takes a little bit for the field to figure it out. Similar thing here, in my opinion, with Scars. He might be starting to get figured out. So what do you do when people start to figure it out? Play a little different. Play a little bit different. Maybe you got great ammo control. Forget the ammo control. Maybe play a little aggressive, and then use it with number efficiency. You got to know how to play it a little bit more on the throttle and the gas. I like the brake and the throttle. You got to know when to push the brake a little bit, push the throttle a little more. Got to play with it, especially when you have that first run. What was the other person you said? I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay, did I get the other?
Bree.
Bree. I don't know, man. That one, Bree is such a. Bree in a way reminds me a lot of Rana. Ironically, very chaotic. That I don't know. Maybe, but I haven't seen much of her lately, so maybe Bree just kind of needs to just be mellowed out, right? This is a more mentality. It's not even the game, just mentality thing, right? Just mellow out a little bit, right? You had that Final Four run. Maybe you go back to what you were doing. Obviously, it was against Red. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Red, right? I think was it against Red? Yeah, she beat Red.
It was Red. Yep.
Yeah, beat Red. Yeah, to get to the Final Four. So she's playing against some good players. Really, it's just about understanding her level, maybe of going back to a little bit what you did in the first tournament, but also just mellow out, right? Don't want to go too crazy. Maybe do a little bit less of the gamesmanship and see if you can just keep going for sure. That's my thoughts.
All right. Well, that's a good amount of people. Let's wrap this up with people who are on the brink of making the LCQ. Just need one or two more wins to get in there. We'll kind of roll this off here and then just kind of quickly summarize what you feel these players need to do. We'll start with the guy who's the closest. Red, 4 wins. Looks pretty good in February. And then February ended up being a mixed bag for him. Any thoughts on what Red does for tournament 3 here, as he'll be looking to try to get that spot locked up now, because if he loses here, his first round matchup in tournament 4 is going to be an all or nothing match.
Red is so weird, man. He's all over the map. He really is. He's the TOS guy, and that's an inside joke. But I don't know. He's just got to not get in his own head. I think with Red is schedule the game right. Show up to the arena and just play. He's a good player, but he cannot start thinking about things he can't control. Right. That's the one thing he's got to build that confidence up to say, okay, I can't control the situation. I'm just going to go into it and just play because he was very good. Listen, I know it's an exhibition. I know he won the first KT Classic, but when I first met the guy, he was asking the right questions, and I was really impressed. Now it's just he's worrying about things that you shouldn't have to worry about. And I know he'll improve it, but you start to see the final destination. In this case, forget the final destination, the journey. Just stay in between the lines, man. Just stay in between the lines in the road, and you'll be just fine. That's the thing with Red. I think he just needs to get out of his head and just worry about the game. Show up to the arena, and he could be a top 10 player, even top 5 player in the league for sure. D2.
All right, this next one is a bit of a package deal, but I mean, both have very different mentalities going into it. Aiden Smith, Cy, and Titan both have 4 wins. Both have made round 16 in back-to-back tournaments. Thoughts on what either player needs to do? I think the answer could be a little different for both, but both have 4 wins. Just need one more win in this opening round to lock the LCQ spot up. But I think both these players are definitely having D2 championship aspirations. So, any thoughts on what they need to do?
Well, I was ruthless at the beginning of the year. Aiden Smith, I expected better. I didn't think he deserved to be down there, but he was down there. I even told him, "Per, you have a chip on your shoulder the rest of the year. Right? Prove me wrong." And he's done a great job. Congratulations. Keep going. Right? Because you got that 4 wins. Once again, you got to understand it's not about the mentality for him. He's doing great in terms of that. But for him, when he doesn't get those wins, in terms of just he loses games where it can be controllable or the card luck maybe not going his way, he can start to get a little bit down. So take that next step. Just try to find some more table awareness, which he did a great job against Atomic. I remember commentating that he did a great job. He was down most of that series, but he found the table awareness and he did a great job. It's table awareness for Aiden. I think he'll get there. Cody's smart. Oh man. Look, this guy is a polarizing figure. What I'm about to say here is interesting to say. I think he could be a top 3 player in this league, G, and D2. I really do. And I think the thing for him is it's not about so much.
I think I know where you're coming from in terms of why he kind of gets held back on that, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think if he just gets out of his own head, he doesn't worry about other people's mentality, right? He doesn't worry about the things he can't control. He doesn't worry about what's the next XYZ, the next scenario, where's his... He's got to just almost drop his brain in the ocean, right? Wash it off with some salt water, let it corrode a little bit, and then it'll be back to normal, right? He almost needs the reverse effect. If he can do that, yeah, he can easily make the D1. I really do think so. If he can't do that, he's going to be... If he loses, especially, he's going to be thinking about missed opportunity, and then he screws himself in T4. That's the thing. It's almost a working window with Cody Smart. If he's in that window where he's golden, everything's right in terms of his brain, he's on a good day on the right side, he's up early in the series, he's in control, everything's great. But the moment he goes down, or the moment he just feels the old water hoses around, that's when things go wrong. He's got to avoid that mentality. I suggest to him, if he has a nearby lake, I know he's up there in the New England, if he's got a nearby lake, maybe go to the lake, get some fresh water on it, put some fresh water in his head, and get baptized a little bit. That will get his brain sparked the right way for sure. Because there's just been too much drama with him that I hope he needs to clean up. He's got to clean this drama. There's been too much going on off the table. Clean it up, and he can be a good player. That's my thing with Cody Smart for sure.
All right. Those are the only. There's only 3 people who are at 4 wins right now. Actually, those are the only ones. But we do have some 3 people win players we do want to talk about before we wrap up this topic. We already talked about Scars. Shadowhunter not playing in this tournament. So tournament 4 is gonna be an all or nothing. He has to make at least around a 16 if he plays there. Let's start with another one that's a bit of a package here. Myhail and Taco. Both of them have had decent starts, although mixed results. Taco does have a DQ win. Both are 17-17 on the game record. Myhill has had a decent start, all things considered. But where do you think both these players need to go here to possibly get themselves locked into the LCQ here? They need 2 wins, so need at least around a 16 appearance here in this one.
I don't know, man. Myhill was for last year. Taco was last year's. 1 second.
Oh, okay. Small issue there, but
No, you're good. I thought I heard someone at the door. You're good. My bad. No, just a win. Anyway, regardless, Myhill was here last year, right? Myhill was here last year.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know. It's not been the same Myhill for last year. He was just really consistent. We're all over the map. Same with Taco. Taco had that really good game against, who was it? Was it A-Train? I think it was A-Train.
I think it was A. Yeah, he won 9.
Yeah, and then he won 9. Yeah, I remember that. I think you told me that. Regardless, I don't know. Both these guys, I don't think it's about the aggression so much. It's really just about getting out of round 1 and taking it from there. Right? You got to play this mistake-free Uno, and I think to play that mistake-free Uno, it's really round 1. They can play that clean Uno. That's going to get you that first round win. Then you start worrying about the aggression round 2. Start playing with the throttle on the gas, a little bit throttle on the brake. That's my thing with Myhill and Taco. They're in a weird spot. You really can't push the gas to the point where you want to be a top 5 player, but at the same time, you're still trying to get that LCQ mix. Yeah, they're in a weird spot. It's definitely a no man's land right now for sure. That's what I would say.
All right, let's bring up another one here. Actually, before we continue, let me actually get a quick comment here on Ami, who made the Final Four last tournament. He's locked into the LCQ. Bit of a run that some people had questions on, but ultimately redeemed himself from February 40. Any thoughts on what Omni needs to do here? Because he's been in all 6 tournaments for D2 that have happened in its history, and he enters his 7th now. First time he made the Final Four in the last tournament. What do you think he needs to do to be able to kind of silence some of the critics here? Because some people were a little bit questionable on that run.
Well, that's good. That's what you want. You want your critics. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's really the silence. And the thing I saw with his run that I saw personally was not so much ammo control for him, but he never really faltered when he was down, right? When maybe the cards weren't going his way, maybe he would say one or two words, but then he got over it. Sometimes having a short-term memory, man, it doesn't matter what league you're in, doesn't matter what sport you're playing. When something doesn't go your way, just even in one individual, you got to have a short-term memory. There's times where you need a long-term memory, never forget it, but this one, short-term. It's grand uno. You have a short-term memory, all right, game's over, on to the next one, you lock back in, still have a chance, still a fighting chance. That makes things a little more in your side, and it gives you a little more confidence. I think he just got to do what he did to get to that Final Four. Maybe throw a little bit of some intangibles on number efficiency, which has been the one thing I noticed across the board in both leagues, really. It's just everyone's got that, but down there, especially if you can really work on that number of fish, you can steal a game. And just really play it clean. That's really the one thing I would say with Ami, for sure. He's got to play it clean. Just let the critics fuel him. That's it.
All right, let's get back on track here with the 3 win players. Let's talk about 3 people who I think could be a bit up in the air on what they do here. One of them was in February and April. The other 2, actually no, 2 of them were, but one of them was lost in the play-in. Let's talk about Ninja Jax, Arnim, and Captain Gaming. These are 3 players who I think could be a bit thrown up in the air on what they do in Tournament 3. Captain Gaming came off a pretty good run, but they got absolutely decimated in the regional final round. And then Ninja Jax had a good run for the play-in, swept Luke 4-0, but then could not really find the result in the round of 16. Then Arnhem got swept up in the round of Vortex, barely escaped that, and then they got decimated by Bree. So kind of got a double round of Vortex on the way, and then had a decent showing in April, but ultimately lost in the round of 16. What do you think these 3 players specifically need to do to be able to kind of separate themselves and be able to get into that upper tier that they would like to be at the end of the season, where they could be in consideration for the D2 championship?
Arnhem and Cap Gaming, to me, is almost a package deal. They have flashes of brilliance, but they also have flashes of what happened. It's not so much they get in their own head. I think the problem for them is they just don't have the experience of this game. I think I actually talked to Cap Gaming a lot and Artem a little bit. They're still learning the game. Right, they're still beginners in the craft, and to be that apprentice right now at this young age, or where I'm pretty sure they're both in college and high school, they're still learning their game. They're still learning the mentality of life. I think for them, they've got to really say, you know what, every single game, my advice for them, use every game as a bridge, right? Connect the bridge, connect that Lego set, use it as a building block every time. You'd be surprised. You start changing your mindset to more of that building block, and you go into this game with a little bit more of a learning experience. Every game is going to be different, which is really what this spot is. Every game is different. They can really do something. Ninja Jax, I know he had some scheduling woes. He's been very interesting. He really knows how to beat the trophy hunter players, the 1 seeds and whatnot. I think he did beat a 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken, to get to the next round.
He beat Luke.
Yeah, Luke. I was going to say he took care of Luke, right? And that's just that house money, right? It's because they don't know who he is, really. He's one of those house money. I think, whereas Cap and Arnhem, I feel are more of that building blocks, Lego set, build up piece by piece. If you're Ninja Jax, they don't know you yet. You're still in the weeds over there. You're that tiger in the grass, they like to say. You're just working on top of the hill. That's great, because if you can get somebody, let's say a top 3 or 4 seed, really, as you consider the top guys, right, top 4 seeds, you can play one of them, and you know how to beat those top guys. That's great, because that's just going to be resume building wins. Now, of course, you sure have to get past round 2 at some point, but regardless, at 3 wins, right? He's got 3 wins?
Yeah, 3 wins.
Regardless, if you can get 2 round 1 wins, and you know how to beat the top guy, it's going to put you at least in the LCQ to fight it out. So that's why I think with Ninja Jax, still in that grassy hill right there. Tiger's up the top, and he's just laying there for right now, for sure.
All right, two more. Well, technically three more. I'll throw him in here as well. He's at 2 wins though. But the D2 championship players from last season, D2, White Spider, Pikachu. Pikachu at 2 wins right now, so not the best towards the season. White Spider at 3. What do you think these guys need to do in the second half of the season after middle of the road starts? Which I think both of them are looking for a little more here, especially Pikachu, who needs some more wins to be back in at least the LCQ conversation to possibly go back to back. So that could be something that happens, but. Any thoughts on that?
You don't want to be in that spot. You had both these guys as shoo-ins in the top 10 of the year, and it's pretty falling flat right now. That's a case of where's the hunger, right? We talk about this, G. You kind of know this better than most people, right? You're at the top of the mountain, okay? They were at the top of the mountain last year in the sense that they were in the D2 championship. Sure, they didn't get to the peak, but they were at the top right there, and then they almost ascend to the top of the mountain by default because all the guys they knew left, right. So they're at the top of it. They're the ones to beat. Now they've been punched. They're not at the bottom of the mountain. They're not at that middle point. They're almost at the level underneath the middle. Well, I guess lower than premium economy, just more of that in between economy premium. There's a couple hybrid seats. That's where they're at right now. They're a little bit below the mountain, and I think G, you would. I've been listen. I don't know these players very well at the end of the day, but I know how to use the mentality aspect. Just use my life experience a little bit of just what to do with the game to give these guys advice. What would be your advice for these two? Because you have the unique spot where you're at the top. You made Super League, right? Then you got punched in the mouth, but you weren't at the bottom because you did get those 2 wins. You were kind of in that middle portion. Now you're back at the top. How do you try to ascend? You're probably the perfect guy to ask. What would be your best advice? Instead of just me giving advice, because you've been in this. I've never been. I've been at the top all the time. What about you in this situation? What would you do? Because you've been here before.
I think they just need to know they have experience in the past with more than most of these other guys. They have championship playoff experience, but that doesn't mean they're going to be guaranteed given a spot in the playoffs. They got to make sure they work for it. They got to make sure they're on their A game and not making any silly mistakes. So I think that's really going to be an important thing for them. Maybe bring back or lock in some of that, or bring back. I'm not blanking. Maybe like kind of rewind time here, bring back some of the stuff that you're able to do in this back half. And I mean, the back half was strong for both of them. Pikachu had a really good run in Acoustic August last season. White Spider, of course, had that very historic June Gelato run where he went 14-0 in his region and then made the finale. So we're coming up on some good tournaments for both these guys, but they're going to need to find some of that 2024 magic to put themselves back into the playoff conversation, because currently they're on the outside right now.
Nothing wrong with being on the outside, like you said. Don't make the silly mistakes. Use a little bit of that magic. Go back to that vintage playbook. We always joke about that with who's it, Vintage Allen. But the vintage playbook, go back with that vintage playbook. Try to find some things, and maybe you can just spark, right? Little ember, right? You start blowing on that bundle, and sometimes it starts to spark. That's a little spark to move forward for sure.
We'll save one of the interesting ones for last. And I think there's a lot of conversations with this player with how their tournament ended. Rana had a good run going, and then something came up which kind of derailed their tournament. Unfortunately, they weren't able to play the regional final round, so they missed out on the chance to possibly lock themselves in the LCQ. But they also could have they missed out the chance to win the tournament, because the person they were supposed to face, Jay Money, ended up going on to win the tournament. So that could end up being a big what if down the line. But thoughts on Rana? I know you've been a very big critic of Rana in general, but any thoughts on, after a good run in Archery April, what she needs to do to try to make it into the 5-win range, get into the LCQ, and maybe even slide into the playoffs potentially?
Well, I have been a big critic, but there's sometimes moments in life where it'll humble you. I hope I'm not going to say what happened. We're going to keep privacy private, but I hope what happened, maybe that will humble her a little bit and say, you know what, maybe there is a little bit more than just life in this, right? In the sense that, there are other things that can go outside your life, and that can maybe help your gameplay a little bit, help really be a professional a little bit. I am hopeful for that. I have probably been the number one critic on this channel of that. There's a couple other people, though, not just me. This might be a second lease on life. Maybe we don't see the, what's the term, Rana Uno that everyone loves.
Rana Uno.
Maybe we'll see a little bit more subdued version. I think when stuff happens to you like that, we're not gonna go into detail. When something like that happens to you, where you get DQ'd in a late round, We saw it a little bit with Shamik with the whole revenge tour when he got DQ'd in the Elite Eight. Actually, that was a whole different can of worms where 60% was on him, but then 40% was really on the intangibles of the league and a little bit of team. Unfortunately, where it was a mess. This is a different scenario where something personal happens. That could subdue you a little bit. I'm going to lay off the I guess you could say I don't even know, just the critics. I guess I'll lay off it right now. I'll give her some positive advice. Look, control what you've been controlling. You've got to that. You had a good run. You got it in you. Sure, you maybe didn't have the run that you wanted in the first tournament, but you're right there on the doorstep. What does she have? 4 wins this year or 3? Something like that?
3 wins.
3 wins. You're basically in the same spot as Michel and Taco, and that's not a bad spot where a lot of people thought she'd be at 0 or 1. So that's my more positive, uplifting advice I would give. That's probably what you were expecting there, G. You probably were thinking, oh, here comes the old man KT with the heater, but
not for this one. Especially with what happened, but
can't do it. No, keep it going though.
All right, well that'll do it for the D2 wrap up. We'll see who wins that one.
Happy birthday, Clint! Happy birthday, Clint!
Happy birthday, Clint! We'll see if Clint could have a recovery tournament here. He's at 2 wins right now. He needs to have a bounce back tournament as well. But maybe if Clint could have a good run here, he could make the playoffs for the first time in his career. We'll see if that goes well for him. But we'll have to see.
All right, G, we go to the last topic, and it's going to be some league announcements. We have probably two big league announcements we've made. And then I guess...
Oh, hold on. My headphones said a pumping. We apologize. Getting a quick rebound. Getting a quick reload here. But... There we go. Should work now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, continue.
Okay. The 2 big announcements, I'll take this one. The CSR rules have been debated for, I would say, the last year. Of course, we're going to talk about what made this happen. We started off with, let's go back to 1 year ago, Captain Ashley, the 2024 finale, and Aquatic April, and Ashley basically got capped. 5-6-5, Cap does the thing, and it's the old MCSR debate. Then there was another incident with, I believe it was Allen, where I believe he didn't know the rules, and I think, who was he playing? It was Brock, I think he did a little bit of that magic, and then the most recent incident that happened to Ashley with Nick with the 787. There was definitely a loophole in the sense that it's not a loophole, but it's a case where you play the whole tournament CSR, and you gotta develop for the MCSR. We want to get rid of it. We tried some experimental things. Caesar and I really just was cooking up some rules. 5-17. Tapir, I think, made a suggestion as well. Shout out to him, where you can only go one card time at one start at a time, win or lose. We tried that in the 2 third-place games. I thought they were great, but ultimately the fans decided it came down to 2 options. CSR 5-15 or CSR 5-17. We basically just went with the basic pack, the 5-15. My thoughts on how this is going to change the game, it's going to be not big of an adjustment in terms of the rules you've been playing all this time, but it will be an adjustment because there is 11 games, right? And you're trying these rules out. It may change strategy a little bit. I think it will change more strategy when we get to the T5 finale and the Super League finale, the Final Four, where it's the best of 13 variety. Mm-hmm. But for right now, I don't think it's going to make a big difference in the Final Four and the finales, because there's still B11, just 2 extra games, and we may not max them out, of course. But it definitely makes a little bit more interesting variety in the sense that, okay, they are different rules, they are the same rules, yet different in the sense that we're trying this with 11 games. There are some more options on the table. Maybe you play some strategy a little bit earlier, knowing that if you win on 12, you're done, versus you could go back to it in Game 3. If you had 1 on 13, go back to 12, for example. I think it's supposed to just add an element of strategy. Reminder, this is only for D1 only. D2 still has the MCSR, which I think is fair. I like the change. G fans liked it. I don't really have much to say. Unless you have anything to add, I think it's just what we've been doing. We'll see how it works with the best of 13s. I'm more curious with that more than the best of 11s, for sure.
I specifically remember the conversation we had when CSR was first created. MCSR was created with the concern of people running out of card sorts to start on. In the best of 11, best of 13s, but I think we're at the point where I think people should be able to win on most card starts in general. Sure, you can have a few that you feel a bit uncomfortable on, but it's not like we're literally drying out the entire board for everyone to use. There's still going to be a few card starts available when you're at that one win away situation. So I think this change is good. I think this change is needed. I was of the opinion that adding 16, 17 card starts for just the Final Four and finale was not the solution we needed. So I'm glad we went with the direction of just sticking with the 515 and going full CSR the way. So I'm good with this change, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Because I mean, technically, we had the March issue, but the April finale ran pretty much. It would have been the same way if CSR was in there as well, because we didn't go back to a single
Yeah.
card start in that one. So seen in the past it works without the MCSR, and I think just being able to have that be fully applied and not have these situations where someone goes 5-6, 5-6, 5-6, or like 7-8, 7-8, 7-8 is gonna make the product a little better.
I absolutely agree. The other changes in the little break we had were some. I'm not going to talk about this publicly. This will be probably more off-season thing. We did make some changes to Grimland privately. That will be discussed more in an off-season episode, or maybe towards the end of Super League. The only thing I'm going to say with that, the changes being made are going to make the product better. As you know, Grimland is not supposed to be a serious thing. It's supposed to be a test facility, as I say. Try different things, let people host, learn some things. That's the one other change we have. Some other news before we get to G's thing. Calendar adjustment. I don't know if there is a D2 calendar adjustment, but for now, D1, we are leaving. The shutdown is no more.
It
Until
might
we're going
be
to have the summer.
it might be a slight shift, but we'll see.
Yeah, of course, it's a little different with the pace down there. But we will have no summer break in June. It's moved to July. There's a couple reasons for this. One, I want to keep the pace going for sure because I won't be here in August. Okay, I shouldn't say I won't be here. I'll still be here, but I'm not going to be around a lot. I only have 2 hours at night. That's not a lot of time, right? And then I have to get up the next morning. So that's a whole different comp. But the other reason, too, I think it makes sense for you to have the summer break during summer. The original SB was going to be, June 4th? That's not summer. That's technically the end of spring. So I think moving it past to T4 actually gives us a little bit more time to really prepare for T5 in the future. You'll see this more next year, I think. If I like this July break better than the June break, we'll just put it in July. And we want that last tournament to be the best in terms of we got all the scenarios, we got all the playoff implications. That's what you want, that nice break to really get the units going for that last one. So I think it's a good change. That's it, though. We have the one last announcement. We'll save it to the end. G, relegation here. Big change coming. Talk about it.
All right, I'm actually going to do a bit of a scene switch here for the people viewing on YouTube so you could just get a visual idea of this. So we're going to fade into the background. Woof, there we go. So this is an updated tournament format since we were having people drop similar to last season, and we don't want a situation where we have first round games become negated and then suddenly the final round is just literally winner take all games where you play a single match to determine your fate, which I don't think is really the solution. So made a quick adjustment to it. It's still the bottom 12 that are in the relegation tournament, but the one big change is the bottom 4 just outright do not qualify and are relegated. So this is basically to alleviate some of the issues with the people dropping mid-season. So like people like Kev, who would have been in the relegation tournament but then just retired after tournament 1. Now he'll just slot into that 64th spot and just does not qualify for the tournament. So we don't have to worry about that too much. Relegation tournament in a way, I guess, is 8 now. It's 53rd to 60th. There's a caveat also, if one of those people decides to withdraw from it, someone who is active that's in those bottom 4 spots that wants to play can take a spot. That is allowed, but that would have to include a withdrawal from the 53rd to 60th, which may not happen. But again, if you watch sports, you'll know they'll look at this and think of the NBA play-in format. It's pretty much that. You have the bottom 4 of the players in the tournament, 57 through 60th, play each other in first round is seeded 57 v 60, 58 v 59. Winner of those matches advances to the final round. Losers get relegated to Division 2. And then on the upper side of the relegation tournament, 53rd to 56, so 53 v 56 and 54 v 55, they play each other. Winners retain their D1 spots. Loser advances to the final round. And then there's a slight reseed here, so it won't change too much, but it is a slight reseed. You'll have the top two get reseeded to face the bottom 2, depending on who they end up being. But Winner of those matches retain the final D2 D1 spots for next season, and the losers end up getting relegated to D2, and that will give us our field of 8 that get relegated. So it's a quick it's a quick fix. I actually also think it'll be a more entertaining format in terms of the stakes, and I think this will allow for the matches that play out naturally instead of being a DQ mess. But I mean, KT, any thoughts on this? I know you don't love relegation, but I do think this format will create a bit more intrigue now because there's now going to be another section that people have to keep an eye out for with the bottom four. So no one wants to be in that bottom four. But you're also going to have to see ends up in that upper bracket and who ends in that lower bracket. You obviously don't want to be in the relegation. You want to be in that top 52. But if you do end up in relegation, it'll be interesting to see where you end up in that tier. But any thoughts on the new format and what you think it'll bring that the old format did not?
Well, the old format, it really didn't, I guess, prioritize the second chance element. If you had that, I guess, higher placement, right? In this format, it's a little bit, if you get that higher placement, you finish 53rd. You might get a second chance in a sense, or whatever. Not 53rd, 56 or what it was, I think it was.
It would be 53rd to 56 would get two chances, and then 57 to 60th would have to win twice.
Right, exactly. That's cool. I like that. I know the NBA playing gets a lot of heat because it's, these teams are, 30, 35 wins and they're but at the same time, that's the reason why I do that is to prevent tanking. I understand. I get the whole lingo behind it, why I do it. Am I a fan of it? Not really, but at the same time, I understand in a modern day basketball, so now I just accepted it. Here, though, this isn't basketball, this is Uno. I don't think this has anything to do with tanking. No one wants to be down here. I want to keep this clear. Obviously, lost 2 people confirmed. That 64, 63rd is now Kevin H. Dark, we'll see if he comes back where he said maybe. But
Dark's going to be in a hole right now. If he doesn't win for the rest of the season, there's not other people who drop. He's going to just be locked in that 62nd spot with nothing be able to get him out, and he's going to be out. So he's going to have to find a win, as I mentioned before.
There might only be one spot really up for grabs right now where it's just, okay, don't get in that 61st spot and at least try to play into that tournament. But I like it. It's for Uno, I think there's just so many variables. We've talked about this on multiple occasions, not just you and me, but really with everybody. It's Uno. There's multiple occasions where things can happen, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how it runs. It's a first time thing, right? We've never tried this, and we always say with first time things, man, sometimes it becomes a what do you call it? A who's who, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this will go. I think there's a lot of intrigue. I know some people were complaining about there's nothing really to do for the 61 through 64, and they had concerns, but you put that aside. Do you really want to give those guys a chance if they've really had all these chances and they're at the bottom 4? I think just kind of send them to the wayside is what it is. We do know for a fact that we'll have at least 9 people moving up, I believe, because we know Vapor will be gone.
And he's not going to be in the bottom 12, so.
Right. And remember, if the people that, let's say, for example, that are retired or something and they're already in the bottom half, then it's okay. It's whatever, right? So it really just depends on the people who go 52nd up that retire, and there's only one to confirm right now. So realistically, I think it's good. Overall, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, and if it's really good, then we'll just lock it in forever. If not, then we'll go back to the drawing board. But nothing. I'm pretty open to the idea. As you guys know, it's not my most favorite topic to talk about, but at least this makes us a little bit more, I guess, bite-sized, where you can understand it a little better. It gives guys chances that do finish 53rd, 56th, which I do like, for sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's technically the field that kind of gets thrown into this because it's 8 spots that are relegation. You have 12 people in this relegation discussion, so it kind of gives those people a little bit extra leverage there. And technically, it also prevents a situation where 53rd to 56 could all get relegated, which was possible in the last format. So that kind of alleviates that. At least 2 of them are guaranteed to not get relegated, so that kind of also helps as well.
Well, Z, we go to the last announcement. This one's going to be a little more technical, so I'm going to break down what's happening. There's an article. Maybe we'll post the link to it. I don't know. We'll think about it. But there's an article, basically. We've been on the Buffalo. For those of you who don't know, we've been on the Buffalo server for some time, and you're probably like, what is that? Well, we use a client called Spartoast. ever since we got our own platform on Challenge, Grammy gave me the platform Spark Toast, and it is a very affordable platform. It's only what I think I paid $11 for it for the whole year, which is insane. Basically $1 a month. The point is, they're moving from Buffalo to Ashburn, Virginia. I'm not going to go into every detail about de-racking and whatnot. What we're supposedly having here is the couple things. We're going to be upgrading the chips. We're going to be upgrading the processing. We're supposed to get 100% performance upgrades, but there are higher tiers. So, for example, an enterprise client or what's the other one? A private client. Those guys already are experiencing upwards of 40 and 12% gains, which that's already top tier stuff, especially for those enterprise guys. And again, 12% increase. G talks about the little bell curve. I'm interested to see what happens. Buffalo is not a tech market, as G told me before the show. I want to give him credit. I want to make sure I get all this right. Give him this. G, it's I didn't go to no college, but I know make sure to not plagiarize anything you say. We do here. Don't want to plagiarize. We're excited always.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, I'm interested to see what happens in Ashburn, Virginia. Buffalo is not a tech market. Okay, it's snowy half the year over there. Basically, when you get to November 1st through really upwards up to March 31st sometimes, you can get lake effect snow, and it's, damn, what's going on here, right? But it's a cold climate. Ashburn, Virginia, it seems to me, in my humble opinion, has a little more of a tech-centric background, and there's a lot more to it. I think the most intriguing thing with this one that's going to come is, if the reliability improves on the bot, will we see less crashes? Because we see a lot of crashes, and everyone wants to point the finger, oh, the bot did the bot. Yeah, but a lot of those crashes are not the bot. The only time it's the bot is if something happens on Grim's end of the platform where, okay, it's a complete failure or an error. We don't have many of those anymore. A lot of the issues come from the server hosting site, and that's great that they're making this initiative, but we will be delayed a little bit. So that means the first round will be delayed. We won't have any games Sunday after 4 and basically till Monday through, I think, 8 o'clock. But that's tentative, right? Realistically, Tuesday is when we'll get back up and running. Your thoughts on this, G, from a technical perspective? I don't want to get too deep into this. Thoughts on moving from New York to Virginia? That's already a big move in itself. But I think it's the right move because, as you said, it's not a tech market in Buffalo for sure.
I mean, ultimately, it's not the move that we choose, but I think it's going to be good. Buffalo is not really a tech city, so a lot of their servers that are not to the the top quality. You don't really have a lot of those buildings. They have a large stockpiles of server storage and whatnot. You'd have to look at a city like, ironically, Miami or even Charlotte for looking at a tech hub like that, but Ashburn, though, Virginia, they have some good tech hubs. Ashburn is a decent one, though, so gonna get some improvements. They're gonna get a lot more of the resources you need for better servers, and we saw this in the write-up. We currently use the lowest tier that they offer, and that's gonna be a pretty much a double increase in performance, which I think is going to be good, and hopefully that will help minimize some of the crashes. So that would be good for the league in general, because we know sometimes you have the issue with the crashing and lags. So hopefully that double performance actually results in what feels like a double performance, and not just moving from point A to point A2. But I think it's going to be good, although we're going to have 2 days of downtime, so it's going to be kind of a mini break in a way, because we're not really going to be able to do anything. So I think we'll see how it plays out, but hopefully things end up performing a lot better once we get back on, well, what would be this coming Tuesday when we release this, and hopefully the action goes interruption free.
Yeah, obviously, we talked about Miami. Miami actually is one of the locations you could have picked when I first started. I was thinking about Miami, but of course, I'm not too far away from Buffalo, so I thought, okay, it'd be closer. Maybe it'd be a better signal, but I wasn't using my brain. Probably I should have picked Miami, because that was one of the options. They say the best one is, they say the best one out there of the 3 that are in the U.S. now, soon to be 4, was Dallas. Dallas was the hub. I think they say it's the best. Miami's very close second. Salt Lake is third. Salt Lake was 4th. Buffalo was 3rd. So I figured, okay, well, I'm close to Buffalo. Maybe Looking back, I probably should have just chose the Miami hub because they rarely have problems. Dallas has no problems at all. They seem to be the one hub that just has nothing going on. But regardless, I'm interested. Obviously, there's Virginia Tech. There's a lot of Virginia UVs there. There's a lot of campuses there in Ashburn, that area. I think that could play a little bit role. Maybe that's why they're moving to. Maybe get some recruiting there for colleges and whatnot. I'm interested, G. I'm looking forward to it. When it comes to technology improvement, I'm all about it. I'm all about technical advancements. I'm not going to get too in depth with it and share views on other things, but I think technology, we got to have a balance. I'll say this, there's got to be a balance between the human and the tech. You got to embrace it. You got to share it 50-50, and we can embrace it as humans, and the tech can love us back. Then we'll have a good coexisting relationship. But that's all I'll say on that. I'm interested to see what these processing chips are going to be. AMD, Ryzen's 990s and 770s. So that's always nice. 77,000 and 9900. Excuse me, 7700s, 900. So that should help the processing. But that's it for the show. Movie May, Meteorological May. Say that 5 times fast. I dare you. Looking forward to it though. Should be a fun one. Starting it off in May this time. We're going to be starting it off on May 1st and then May 6th for D2. Should be good. Season's moving along well. Check us out on YouTube. Who knows when we'll get our Spotify if we ever get it back. But regardless, check us out on YouTube, our home base. I want to thank G for coming out and picking the theme. G, been a pleasure. We'll see you ready. Rock and roll as spectators for the first time ever in a round come May 1st. Goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you.
That's going to make the analysis really interesting, too, because we're not going to have a say in terms of us as the players. We're actually just going to be straight up spectating, so I'll be curious to see how that impacts their breakdown.
Yeah, we'll also see if you even have time as well. I know you got a lot going on. But regardless, check us out next episode. We'll see you ready to rock and roll after a little bit of a thrilling time to get us ready for the Thriller 32. Good, everybody.